Dynasty fantasy football owners, we're back with our segment Speed Trading. I'm going to ask the guys about specific players in the NFL, and they're going to have to quickly answer whether they would trade for that player or if they would trade away that player if they had them on their Dynasty team. And if you have a player that you're thinking about either trading or trading away, definitely comment it below so we can answer you. All right, welcome to our second round of Speed Trading. We're here with Steve and Joe. I'm going to tell them some players. They're going to tell me if they would trade for or trade away this player. We're going to start with you, Steve, with quarterback Trevor Lawrence.
I think I'm going to trade for him, and my reason being is because I think
two first names.
Yeah, two first names, but I think that we're going to see more of this. I don't think this is an anomaly. The question is, has the Lawrence owner lost faith enough to be willing to give him at a more of a discounted price? He went number one in our dynasty draft when he was a rookie, so 2 years ago. So to me, I would be interested in trade for him. Question is, could I get him at a reasonable price?
Yeah, I agree, Steve. I would trade for Lawrence as well. Price probably would have been better before this week 3 performance, but I would still be looking to trade for him. I think Peterson's got him on the right track, and the Jags offense will be good moving forward.
All right. Next player, wide receiver Curtis Samuel.
Man, this is a tough one. I don't know what you think, Joe. I think I'm buying him for this year. I think he's going to continue to be relevant. So if you're a win now team like I am in my league, I would trade for him. I'm really kicking myself for cutting him. Joe cut him, and then I picked him up, and then I cut him, and then somebody else picked him up. I could really use him right now. So if you're competing, might be worth trading a 3rd round pick or something, or a developmental player, just to have him in the rotation at wideout.
Yeah, I'm with you, Steve. If I'm a win now team, I'm definitely looking to acquire him for the rest of this year. He looks like there's no point of slowing down. Wentz seems to target him a lot, and if you're not one of those teams competing, I mean, he's not really a guy that's probably going to help you really in the future. He's kind of more in this maybe 1 to 2 year window. So yeah, win now, I'd go for him.
Yeah, and plus he's getting carries too, so it's not like he's just getting pass attempts. I mean, he's being heavily involved in the offense after being injured last year. So if you're a rebuilding team, he's a perfect model of a player that you could trade away. You could even possibly get a 2nd round pick from somebody if they're that desperate.
Yeah. So win now, trade for. If you're rebuilding, good time to trade him away. Next player, tight end David Njoku.
Now, I love this player. To me, it's an obvious trade for. You should have traded for him before because I thought this was going to happen. Problem is, the owner in our league has a sky-high price. Of course, he's a Browns fan. Makes sense. For me, I definitely think there's more to come with this, especially what does this offense look like with Watson at the helm of the offense. So I'm buying him, and I'm definitely going to trade for him. Hopefully, it's not that much. I would wait for a down week before I do it, because right now that owner it's gonna be a tough sell for him to trade right now.
I think I might try to maximize his value coming off of that Steelers performance and actually just trade him away. I mean, I don't know if that kind of usage is something we can expect on a week-to-week basis. We'll see. The guy's always been super talented, but the Browns have just neglected to use him. Maybe this is his year, but I mean, his value is never going to be higher. I might try to trade him away and maximize on that.
Joe, he's the clear number 2 option. He could be the number 2 option in that offense. They only have Amari Cooper.
I get that, but I mean, if Watson comes in, I mean, I don't know if he's a guy that really heavily targets tight ends. I mean, he might be better off with Brissett. I mean, Watson might actually get the rookie David Bell going, or also target Donovan Peoples-Jones. I mean, things could definitely change. Njoku value might not be higher than after that Steelers game, Steve. I mean, they've neglected to use him for a while now.
But they paid him all that money.
I know, but he's also...
Money talks, Joe.
Right, but he's probably a good run blocker, and that's what the Browns do. They run the ball.
All right. Next player, running back James Robinson.
Yeah, I think I'm going to trade away James Robinson. I think he has outperformed what most people were expecting. They thought Etienne was the guy that you should have There's no doubt he's had a phenomenal start to the season. He's scheduled to be a restricted free agent in the NFL with the Jags. He'll probably stay there. I just think long term, I think his window of success is more of a short term window versus a long term. I don't see him being a top running back 5-6 years, especially with Etienne being a first round pick. I could see him eventually being more involved coming off that list, Frank. So I'd trade him away. I think you could get a good amount for him right now.
Yeah, I agree, Steve. If I'm not a team that's looking to win a championship right now, I'm trading away and maximizing the value of him. Like you said, nobody really expected this kind of start out of from him. So I think definitely trade him away and maximize on the value. Etienne, is probably the better future guy to have there in Jacksonville.
All right, that could be a spoiler, but speaking of Etienne, our next player, running back, Travis Etienne.
Oh boy, you're creating some controversy here, Pete, with back-to-back running backs here. I think for me, I'd trade for Etienne, but the problem is he's not done so great. This is a great opportunity. If the owner is really down on Etienne, you could get him at a discounted price. I think they're going to try to hold on, so it could be really difficult. But I would definitely say try to trade for him if possible.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect time to try to buy low on him. I think in the future, I don't know if Robinson can sustain this type of production for a lot of years. I mean, he's already had the Achilles injury, so I expect, even possibly next year or later this year, Etienne's volume to go up a little bit. So I would try to buy now while his value is still kind of low, as his usage is low. Maybe an owner's a little frustrated with him because they probably had to spend a decent draft pick to even have him. So
I don't know about you though, Joe. I don't know if I would overgive because I don't know if Etienne will ever be the guy. Peterson tends to have multiple running backs in there, so even when Robinson's out, I don't think Snoop Connor is that player. But I wouldn't be shocked if when Robinson's out of the picture, they don't draft a running back in a third or second round to replace a Robinson type player. I just don't know if Etienne will ever be the guy where he's like the workhorse.
Yeah, I get that. That's why I was saying buy low. I mean, that's usually means you don't give up too much.
True.
Yeah, trade for, but don't give the farm for him.
Yeah.
I don't really know what the best value would be, but if the value is good and you're not giving up the farm, he definitely could be interesting.
All right, next player, quarterback Jalen Hurts.
Okay, I'm curious to see what Joe's going to say about this, but I am going on a hot take here. I could be really wrong. I'm trading him away. He has been fire these past few weeks, but think about the matchups he's had so far. He's played the Commanders, who are not very good. He played the Vikings. They're not very good. And then he played the Lions. All of them, their pass defense is not very good, nor their defenses have done very well this season. I think he has had a very easy schedule. I think the Eagles, right now, they're one of the only undefeated teams. I think they will, kind of hit the proverbial wall, if you will. I don't think Hurts' value has ever been higher. And I think if you could trade Hurts for Lawrence, I would do it.
Wow, that's interesting, Steve. I do see your point where the value for him trading him away is probably at its highest point. I just don't know if I'm willing to do that. He's still a young quarterback. I think we might. I mean, I know he's had the easy schedule, but what if this is signs for more things to come like this for Hurts? I mean, with his running ability, he's got a lot of weapons now. With them getting A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith is coming around with Goddard there. I mean, he's got the pieces to be a really good fantasy quarterback. Tough to say to trade him away. I think I'd be trying to get him.
As a good friend told me, you got to risk it to get the biscuit.
You got to risk it to get the biscuit.
That is very true, Steve. I do agree with that.
So and here's the thing: you wouldn't have to do it straight up. You probably could do Lawrence and probably either some draft capital or some few other pieces with that trade with Hurts. I like that side of the deal better than Hurts. I'm buying Lawrence stock in the future. versus Hurts. Could be wrong about that, but sometimes, like I said, you got to risk it.
You
I
gotta
mean, you
decide
yeah,
if
you could
Hurts
be
is
right
just a
though.
flash in a pan or if it's a long-term thing.
I mean, it's not like the Eagles have spent a long-term contract on Hurts or anything. So I mean, there's nothing. He's really not backed by the team in that sort of way. So
All right, next player, and here we go. We love IDP here. So our next player is safety Talanoa Hufanga. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, not sure you are, people. I have to rewatch the tape on that one. Well, maybe have to.
How would you pronounce it, Steve? Talanoa
Talanoa Hufanga.
Hufanga.
What do you think, Joe? Who's more right on that?
yeah, I think from hearing the Sunday night broadcast, Dave, I think you were correct with that. I definitely know his last name. Definitely was pronounced Hufanga.
So Chris Collinsworth, who says a lot, was talking about how he's the next Troy Polamalu. That's a big, bold statement by Mr. Collinsworth. And I would say if you can trade for him, I would. I think he really wasn't. He was a late-round draft pick last year. Never really got involved in that defense, but was able to get a starting job and has been playing a huge amount of the snaps for the Niners. I think this guy he showed already. Actually, his worst game to date was the one against the Broncos, but he was still getting the hype, from the broadcast booth. So I would say if you're able to buy him, I think he's going to be that next. He could really be a rising star.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely looking to trade for him. He was a guy I really hadn't heard of until the Sunday night broadcast, but just watching him, I know he didn't do the best, but that's also because the Broncos had so many 3-and-outs and their punter was on the field a lot, so I can't fault him for that. But his instincts and speed showed on the film, and I'd be excited about the guy. I mean, the first 2 weeks he was an absolute tackle machine, so I would expect more of that to come, and if I could get him, I'd trade for him.
Steve, you're saying he's going to be doing Head and Shoulders commercials in 20 years. This is that kind of guy.
Yeah, it might. I mean, Chris Collinsworth said that. I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I'll go that far. I mean, that's
Generational defensive talent.
Well, Pete, he does have the hair for Head and Shoulders, 100%. The hair's flowing out like Polamalu. He kind of looks like Polamalu out there, but I mean, we'll see if he definitely turns into him. But just the look of him and the speed and style, his aggressiveness, how he plays along the line tight like that. I mean, and his timing was really, really good. So maybe Head and Shoulders is in his future.
Might take a while for him to get there. We can endorse him though on the Front Office Pros. Maybe we can
get him that contract. We'll work on it. Yeah. All right. Our next player, running back AJ Dillon.
Ooh, I don't know, Joe. I'm gonna have you do this one first. I gotta think about this.
Oh, thanks, Steve. Not doing me any favors here. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I really don't know what to do with AJ Dillon. Man, I think I'd be trying. I think I might try to trade him away.
Ooh.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, the talent is there, but then as long as Aaron Jones is going to be there, he right now, like week 1, AJ Dillon got all the work, but then since then, Aaron Jones has just taken over the majority, and then AJ Dillon hasn't looked that impressive. I mean, his carries are usually going for 2 yards in a cloud of dust. When he does get the ball, like, and he's getting some work in the receiving game, but yeah, I don't know. It's tough, Steve. I think I might be trying to trade him away versus trying to trade for him.
Wow, Joe. Yeah, honestly though, I'll be real. I'm feeling similar to you. He was such a hyped player this offseason. I thought I saw so many different fantasy analysts really hyping up this guy, talking about how he's going to break out. I even remember reposting an article recently saying he was going to be the next like Derrick Henry type player from one of these main fantasy websites. And so for me, I think it's the situation where you have to feel out and kind of, talk to different members in your league about him, because maybe put him on the block, have conversations, because I'd be inclined to trade him away. But it really depends on what you're getting. I wouldn't sell low on him by any means. But based on how much hype he's had, I wouldn't be surprised if, your YouTube Sorry, your YouTube. Your league mates are watching YouTube and they're seeing other YouTubers saying buy low on Dillon, buy low on Dillon, and so I think as a result you could probably get a good return. But I'm with Joe. I think I trade him away at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the value definitely still has to be there to trade Dillon. I'm not looking to just shop him for peanuts. It's got to still be getting something decent.
All right. Next player, safety Marcus Williams.
Yeah, Marcus Williams is an interesting player. He's had a real hot start. Actually got paid, left the Saints, went over to the Ravens. Your Ravens, Pete, and leads the league in interceptions right now. Really balling out. I think I would trade him away. I think based on what he's done so far, he's played really, really well. Not sure if he continues. I'm trying to think. The proverbial.
You could probably make them give you extra picks to take his
Absolutely.
contract off your hands.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Off their hands.
exactly. He'd be like, I'll give you a, late round draft pick for your late round draft pick from Kenny Golladay. I think for me, it's the problem is the Giants offense. I still think he can be a good player. I'm with you. I mean, he needs to get traded or cut by the Giants. And if he doesn't, then this season is a complete waste. But I have to think that he will not stay on the team beyond this year. You've already seen he's getting disgruntled. He's already speaking out in the media, which is a big no-no. So I think it's only a matter of time before he's not with the Giants. And he can't get worse than this. And a lot of times it's team fit. So to me, you are acquiring a guy from a dynasty perspective that absolutely gives you nothing, no return as of right now. And you don't have to give up a lot, but I think in the future, he could pay dividends. You'll get a better return in the end because he's too good of a player in Detroit. I know he's getting older, but I think he's too good of a player to be this bad. I think he'll rebound wherever he goes next. I think he's going to want to prove himself. He was a late round pick, got the big contract from New York. People are slandering his name in New York. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Well, if he wants to do well, he's definitely going to need one. I mean, he got all that money from the Giants, and he's just absolutely not even give him anything close to a decent return on that money. But where do you think he goes that is going to make him that much better?
Now you're testing my knowledge here. I mean, there's some needy team. I mean, even if he went to Chicago, Joe, which, I mean, maybe, who knows, maybe Fields hasn't had that play. Actually, that's a bad player. What am I talking about? Scratch the tape. Scratch the tape. I didn't say
go
that.
to Chicago.
No, I didn't say it.
Where they're throwing it 17 times a game.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna have to think about that one. I'm trying to think of a team that it would fit for him. What if he went to the Raiders?
Why would he go to the Raiders?
Okay, never mind.
They already are doing their best efforts not to try to get it to their best player, and that's part of the reason they're 0-3. Matt Collins, are you kidding me?
Could be 1-4 this week.
Oh, stop.
They're 1-3.
You mean 1-3?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve's already going to week 5.
That's right, because they're already going to lose against the Broncos.
He's seen the future. All right. Well, if you have any players that you are trying to decide to trade for or trade away, comment them below so we can answer you. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe and hop on board.